Yo, what's good, boys? So, the last couple days, I guess the last like couple weeks or so, I've been having just countless DMs and just comments of people asking how they can debloat their face, how they can get a leaner face, what's the method. And in this video, I'm literally going to go drop everything for you guys from A to Z. I'm going to give you absolutely everything I know, all the sauce on what I personally do. So, I want to go ahead and preface it beforehand too, that this is just what's worked for me personally. Now, this isn't going to go ahead and work for everybody because everybody has different things that work for them. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's face is different. So I just want to preface that beforehand before we get into anything else. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. So first off, I kind of want to just go over like what actually causes bloating in the first place. So I'm just going to go over a couple things, right, that mainly cause it for me. So water retention is going to be a big one when you're just holding on to too much salt in your face at one time, and it just causes everything to kind of puff out and expand. And just having more sodium, obviously, like I said, when you have a lot of salt in your body and you don't sweat it out, it's going to go ahead and retain. I don't even know what the word is. It's going to go ahead and cause a lot of water retention when it's actually holding on to all that salt. And then your sleep, obviously that's going to be a big one, not as much, but that's going to be super important because your face is going to be inflamed and just your body overall if you have low sleep because you're going to be so tired. Alcohol, that's a big one too. I've noticed that people get puffy faces when they consistently drink a lot of alcohol, which that might not be for everybody, but I personally do not drink alcohol whatsoever. I don't, do any weed. I don't do anything like that. So that's another big one because that's going to cause, like I said, a ton of inflammation as well. And then stress, that's going to be a big one. I've noticed that for me, like mainly when I get stressed, it happens more in my gut, but I just start to get bloated, right? When I have like high cortisol, when I have high stress, that's going to be a big one as well. And obviously what you eat, you want to make sure that you're eating a whole foods diet at least 80% of the time. Now, obviously for me, right, you can go ahead and eat fast food, you can go ahead and eat that stuff, but just make sure you're limiting how much you eat, and then make sure that you're still getting in movement, getting in exercise, drinking water, just everything like that. That's going to be super important. All right, now your hydration is going to be such a big one because when you can hydrate, that's actually going to go ahead and, like I said, with the salt, it's going to go ahead and retain more salt, but you need to go ahead and make sure that you're drinking water because when you can go ahead and sweat everything out, that's going to be where you're actually going to go ahead and debloat the most. Now, the biggest thing is obviously going to be in your genetics, right? Now, obviously, genetics are not the entire part of it. It's maybe like, 20, 30% of it, maybe even 50%. But it's like there's always room that you can go ahead and improve. You can always change something. And people who go ahead and blame it on genetics, it's just like, bro, like, stop that. That's just a limiting belief at the end of the day. You need to go ahead and just understand that your genetics are not going to be 100% of it, and you can always go ahead and improve that on your own, okay? And this is going to be the biggest thing, okay? This right here, if you guys were to follow, like skip everything else I just told you and just focus on one thing, it would be in getting movement, sweating, okay? Because when you can do that, like I was telling you guys earlier, you're going to sweat out all of that bullshit that's in your face, right? All that sodium that's going to be held up in your body, you're going to go ahead and sweat all that out. So that's going to be so important in actually debloating. Like, let's just say like one day you were being a chud, right? You were just doing a bunch of bullshit. You were eating, bad food, right? Stuff that was going to inflame you. And then you go ahead, you actually start getting locked in your hydration. And then you go ahead and you go and hit like a nice little sprints workout, go lift, go hit the sauna, something along the lines of that. You are going to notice such a difference, bro. It's going to be like night and day in your face and just how lean it actually is. Okay, that's going to be such a big thing. But, and also I want to go ahead and let you guys know beforehand, obviously I'm not a doctor, so I'm, none of this stuff, obviously it's just what's worked for me. None of it's like scientifically proven to work for every single person. I just want to let you guys know beforehand. So, obviously, what I personally do, I want to go ahead and go over my routine on just like what a day-to-day looks like, okay, and what I'm actually eating, everything that I go ahead and do to actually debloat. But I want to go ahead and go over everything with that. So typically I'll go ahead and wake up and go to bed at pretty much the same time every night. Sorry, there's like a super loud car going by. But typically, I go ahead and I go to bed, I would say around like 11 p.m. each night is on a typical night. And I wake up relatively around like 8 o'clock, maybe 7:30. So I'm getting around 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep every night, which is going to be a big thing. But the best thing that I go ahead and do as soon as I wake up is I go ahead and I drink just a big glass of water with electrolytes typically. But obviously you want to go ahead and just drink that water. So usually I'll drink a big glass of water, like 16 ounces, and then I'll go ahead and throw a scoop of electrolytes in there. I use Santa Cruz, and honestly I like those a lot. They taste hella good, you know, they're clean, right? That's going to be the two biggest things. But that's what I go ahead and do typically. Now, most days, it depends on what I'm doing obviously, but if it's just a normal day, just getting some work done in the morning and just throughout the day, I go ahead and I fast the first like 5 to 6 hours of waking up, sometimes 7. It just depends on if I get caught up on work or something. But I go ahead and fast for the first 5 to 6 hours. And what that's going to do is it's going to give your body obviously more time to go ahead and recover your cells and everything, which this doesn't have anything to do with debloating. But on the debloating side, you're not going to be as inflamed. You're not going to have that, you know, salt and stuff like that, obviously from the electrolytes. But when you go ahead and you fast, it's going to go ahead and just clear everything out of your system. And that's going to be the biggest thing in just keeping a lean face overall, is going to be with that. And this is another thing that I actually forgot to go over, but overall just having a low body fat percentage and being lean is going to be one of the biggest things as well. Now I forgot to mention that at the start, but just keep that in mind. If you have a high body fat percentage, your chances of having a super lean face are going to be lower, so just cut down if you can and your face will slim up. But what I go ahead and do after I obviously drink that water, besides the fasting, is I go on a walk every morning. Typically going to be around like 20 to 30 minutes. I aim to get like 2,000-3,000 steps in the morning walk at least. And that's obviously going to burn some calories. It's going to burn obviously some of that fat, especially while you're fasting, because your body's already going to be in that fat burning mode. So when you go ahead and do that, it's going to go ahead and just add on to the benefits, right? Now, obviously hitting the gym every single day. Now lately, I want to be fully transparent with you guys. I haven't been 100% locked in on the gym, but this week, literally, we're getting back onto it. It's just been super crazy for me lately. But basically, just making sure you're hitting the gym every single day, and then drinking water and eating whole foods as well. You want to make sure that you're eating just 80% clean, 80% clean, and then you can go ahead and do whatever with the other 20%. Okay, and then just making sure that you're drinking enough water and sweating enough. All right, that's literally what I go ahead and do throughout my day, and that's what I would say is gonna be the biggest thing for you guys especially. So the biggest mistakes that people honestly make that I see with debloating and just what people tell me is they're always looking for some like overnight fix, right? They're looking for something that's gonna happen like that. Obviously there's gonna be things that you can go ahead and do that will slim up your face temporarily, but if you actually want to go ahead and get them right permanently, you actually want to have a slim face just naturally, you need to go ahead and do the things that are actually going to get you there, right? That's going to be working out, that's going to be sweating, that's going to be drinking enough water, eating whole foods, getting enough sleep, lowering your cortisol, right? And actually not retaining as much water and salt, okay? Now you need to be doing those things consistently, and your face will just naturally slim up a lot more. Especially when you have a low body fat percentage, that's going to be the biggest thing. But honestly, those are the biggest misconceptions that I see, because they're looking for all of these overnight fixes, but then they're going out and drinking every weekend, right? They're going out there eating all the bad foods. They're not consistent in the gym. They're not consistent on their walks, right? They're sleeping like literally like 5 hours a night. Like that's just not optimal whatsoever, okay? And it just comes down to if you really want it bad enough, you're going to go ahead and do everything that you can to get there, right? And I'm literally giving you guys all the sauce and everything that's worked for me. So I'm telling you, if you go ahead and implement this, chances are your face will slim down. All right, I'm telling you. Okay. Now, a lot of things that people think work, and they think if they just go ahead and do these things, they'll go ahead and just get there, right? But there's so many other contributing factors, especially in your lifestyle. It's going to come mainly in the lifestyle. These things might, help by like 3% or something like that. It's not going to be anything crazy whatsoever. But they think like, ice rollers, gua sha, right? Which those things can go ahead and obviously those are to drain the lymphatic that's actually in your cheeks and just the bones and stuff like that. But when you do, that's not going to lead to just you getting a lean ass face. I'm not going to lie, bro. I'm not going to lie. If you do that, like I don't even do that personally. I literally don't. That's not going to make much of a difference. All right, it's going to be mainly in your lifestyle, okay? And then another thing is going to be like mouth tape, right? Now this is a big thing as well. This isn't necessarily for debloating, but it's going to be for actually getting like that forward growth with your jawline in general. So you don't even need mouth tape. Like literally throughout the day, just focus on breathing through your nose. That's what I do during my workouts, during everything. Just focus on not breathing, not being a mouth breather, right? If you do need mouth tape for the nighttime, I'd go ahead and go for it. But I honestly don't do it, and this might just be a thing with me. But I typically don't use mouth tape. I just don't see it being necessary. But I mean, if you guys do struggle with mouth breathing, especially when you're sleeping, I would go ahead and recommend it for sure. But yeah, the other thing I want to go ahead and say, so I already went over my routine with you guys and what a day-to-day looks like. The last thing I would say is before bed. So basically it's going to be like technically intermittent fasting, but I wouldn't say it's that because it's not like 100% strict. I'm not doing it to lose weight. I'm just doing it for actually health maxing and just making sure those cells can recover and just getting all the benefits out of that. But also before bed, I try to eat no more than 3 hours before bed. So like 3 hours before I go to sleep, I cut off eating. And that honestly helps you sleep way better because then your body's not going to be digesting shit while you're trying to fall asleep, and you're not going to be waking up a bunch, And that'll also help with your debloating. You'll obviously have less salt, less, shit that you're holding on to in your face. And that's going to lead to you having a way leaner face in the morning, to be completely honest. But yeah, the biggest questions, so like I said, I've been getting a lot of questions lately just on debloating. A lot of people are asking just how do I debloat, how do I get forward growth, stuff like that. And like literally the biggest thing with debloating, bro, if I had to give you one tip, it would just be get movement and sweat, okay? Because once you can do that, like you'll sweat out all that water. That's what's going to be mainly causing this. And then also just know in the back of your head, right, genetics play a big role, and your lifestyle in general plays a big role, okay? Especially your body fat percentage. But for forward growth, honestly, like I'm gonna be completely real with you guys. I'm not trying to LARP or anything on here on my knowledge, but basically what I would say for that is just making sure that you're breathing through your nose, right? So just making sure that you're not a mouth breather. That's gonna go ahead and just recess everything right here. But that's what I would honestly say. And also a lot of that is gonna be genetics as well, right? Obviously not all of it, like I said, but genetics is going to play a big role, especially in your forward growth, okay? Just to obviously let you guys know, I don't want you to be thinking that there's anything that, that I'm just going to go ahead and lie to you guys, try to sell you a course, nothing like that. I literally want to drop as much free sauces as I can because I want all of you guys to go ahead and ascend, bro. And specifically on debloating is kind of where a lot of my knowledge is, because my face has always been typically pretty lean. But I would say, dude, just go ahead, implement everything that I just told you, and I promise you, you will at least notice a little bit of a difference, okay? And like I said, this isn't going to work perfectly for everybody. It's going to depend on the person, going to depend on just your face, bone structure overall, and like I said, your genetics. But honestly, that's pretty much everything on debloating. Now, if you guys want to see anything on YouTube, I want to start doing more long-form content like this because I honestly really enjoy doing it, just providing you guys with as much free sauce as I can. I want to go ahead and start dropping some mindset stuff on here as well, and just like some observations I've had and just kind of go in more in depth about those because I honestly really like making those videos. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, literally feel free to shoot me a DM. I'll drop my Instagram in the comments. And yeah, just go ahead, comment on this video. If you guys want to go ahead and see some more videos on debloating, if you want to see some mindset optimization stuff, go ahead, just let me know. And dude, we'll go ahead and make it happen, bro. And yeah, I appreciate it. I love y'all for the growth on Instagram lately. And dude, we're going to keep on crushing it, bro. We're all going to crush it, bro. Trust me. But yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. Hope it helped. If it did, go ahead and let me know. And yeah, I'll catch you boys in the next one. Peace.